Real YouTube is oh no. Win regionals. Let's talk. Oh no, what's going on? Uh uh oh no. Well, let's pretend that never happened. That's a strong start to a video. So hello. My name is Wolf, and today we're gonna be talking about the Orlando Regional Championships, which I just got back from last night in Orlando, Florida. Now, full disclosure, I'm gonna be doing a full video breaking down the tournament, my run, the team, etc. on the main channel. But in that video, I'll talk about finals, I'll talk about the other matches as well, but I won't be able to go super in depth. And so I thought it could be nice. I'm taking like I was going to take the day fully off, but I have energy for this. My back is really killing me. I apologize to anyone who I couldn't spend as long talking to over the weekend as I would have liked, because yeah, it's like I genuinely it's really bad. Like I'm actually really worried that could be something serious. That's not what this is about though. We're going to talk about the finals of the Orlando Regional Championship. So here's what you need to know. I'd made into finals. I went 8-2, 8 wins, 2 losses on day one, and my schedule was so difficult that I was the highest ranked player who went 8-2. So I was the ninth seed out of 32 top cut. And I was going up against Ashton Cox. Now, this is an interesting match for a number of reasons. Ashton's a player who I've played 9 times before, and I've played in 2 other regional finals. He's been around for a really long time. He's a really good player. I have a lot of respect for him, and his team is really scary. So he's got Dondozo and Tatsugiri, which are always pretty scary. He has Iron Hands, but his Iron Hands is really fast, which is actually a unique problem for my team, because it means that although Iron Hands is normally a lot slower than Gothitelle, his Iron Hands was so quick that it actually outpaced my Gothitelle, which meant he could fake out first, which ends up being really relevant in this set. He could also Volt Switch before I could Psychic. So both of those are very impactful. So Dondozo, Tatsugiri, he has Iron Hands. He has Goldango, which, for anyone who isn't aware, I was using a Perish Trap strategy at the regional championship here. Perish Trap being a combination of the move Perish Song and the ability Shadow Tag, where Perish Song puts a timer on every Pokemon on the field that at the end of the timer, after 3 turns, any Pokemon still on the field um, that heard the Perish Song will faint. You can fix this by just switching out your Pokemon, but with Shadow Tag, you prevent the switching. And so, yeah, so basically, Perish Trap is a strong strategy, but it's really difficult to use because not only can Ghost type Pokemon switch out of the trap of Shadow Tag, Goldango is actually a real problem because its ability Good as a Gold means that it's basically the only relevant Pokemon not affected by Perish Song. So you can't kill with Perish Song ever. And you also, it can switch out even if you try to trap it and like kill it with something else. So it has a very unique set of attributes that make it very difficult to remove from the field. And Ashton has that. And on top of that, he also has Brute Bonnet, which is a real problem for my team because like it's so it's a grass and dark type, which means it handles Palafin and it handles Gothitelle, both of which are really scary. It also has Spore, which means it threatens like all of my Pokemon, and its access to the attack Bullet Seed means that Fluttermane will get one shot by it. And so it ends up removing a lot of my like counterplay to it, and that makes it kind of difficult to get around. And the last Pokemon, I forget. Maybe it will become apparent. Yeah, so basically it's a tough matchup, and Ashton has some experience using Perish Song himself. And the other time that I used Perish Trap, the only other time I brought it to a tournament was in 2015 at Massachusetts Regionals, which I ended up winning, and in the finals against Ashton. So Ashton actually has experience playing against me using this archetype. Matchup's kind of tricky, and Ashton's a good player with experience. So that's kind of the context that you need going in. So going into this match, I thought, okay, I need to prioritize getting rid of the Goldango, right? Because Ashton has both Dondozo and Tatsugiri, I don't need to worry that much about like bringing Gothitelle was my initial thought, because like I can't perish Goldango, and if Dondozo's ability when it combines with Tatsugiri means it can't switch out anyway. So I thought like, okay, I don't really need to worry about Shadow Tag here. It's not as impactful since both Goldango and Dondozo, it's kind of irrelevant to both of them, and the Iron Hands has Volt Switch. So like for all 3 of those reasons, like yeah, I didn't think that Gothitelle was that necessary, and so I wanted to think like, okay, which Pokemon should I bring to this match? Arcanine has to come because Ashton has Goldango, and without Arcanine, I really shouldn't be able to beat Goldango. I chose to build around Palafin as well, or to bring Palafin here as well, because it's like it resists Steel, which is really relevant, and it resists Water, which is relevant, and it does a ton of damage to Goldango. I chose to bring a Mungus as insurance against Screamtail and Dondozo, and is that the only reason? And Brute Bonnet. Or sorry, I said Screamtail. I chose to bring a Mungus as help against Brute Bonnet and Dondozo. And it's also really good into Iron Hands because Ashton's only attacking moves are fighting and electric. So It can spore it. It does have Grass Terra, but if Ashton like Terra steals Goldango or does something else, Amoonguss is really good, so it was good there. And then for the last slot, I brought Screamtail because my thought process was my way around Dondozo is I have to Perish Song it. Screamtail is my bulkiest Perish Song user. And Disable can be really helpful when getting around Dondozo. And if Ashton chooses not to bring Dondozo, it's nice because I can play a strategy of KO the Goldango and try and take one more KO with Palafin and Arcanine, and then win with Roaring Moon is the last from Ashton. So Screamtail, yeah, it's able to one-shot Roaring Moon if Ashton uses Terra elsewhere. It's able to Perish Song and it's able to Disable. So those are the 4 Pokemon I chose to bring in game 1. We can watch now. Am I on normal speed? Let's find out. Where's my mouse? Okay, I'm on normal speed, yeah. Might have made the sound a little bit too quiet.
Going up against the Palafin and Arcanine.
Yes, the Arcanine really nicely positioned here.
I think
you
that's
do
probably
get it
too
in
loud,
front
right?
of the Iron Hands, so it is going to be able to draw.
So basically here, yeah, so let's talk about the leads here. So it's Arcanine or it's Goldango and Iron Hands against Palafin and Arcanine. So here I'm thinking, okay, well, I have a safe double protect, right, to scout out for the Goldango, like, yeah, like see what it wants to use. It's choice spec, so once it locks into a move, it can't do anything else. So I was thinking, okay, like I can just scout out what the Goldango wants to do. But then I got kind of in my head about it, and I was like, all right, like it's game 1, turn 1. Is he really just gonna fake out Arcanine? Like I'm obviously gonna protect Arcanine. What if he tries to preempt this and switches out his Iron Hands like preemptively? So I make a very risky move, which is I go for a Flare Blitz with Arcanine here. Despite the fact that I'm under fake out pressure, because I thought like, okay, well if I just KO the Goldango right away, I just like win the game, right? And I'm not gonna get one shot by anything, so I thought maybe it's like worth the risk. So I actually don't remember if I switched Palafin out. I think I switched Palafin into a Amoonguss here because yeah, I want to get Palafin into its hero form as soon as possible. It's not threatening a lot of damage here. Yeah, and I thought like, I don't know. I wanted it off the field, and Amoonguss is tanky enough, and because of the regenerate ability, it can just switch, like, it can heal itself naturally, so I'm not as worried about it switching in. Ashton does call this, though, and goes for Fake Out. I thought that it was fine to do this, but it actually wasn't. And Shadow Ball goes into Amoonguss here, and actually does over half. You can see the power of Choice Specs Goldango in this interaction. So now, I'm thinking, okay, well, he's not going to let me take Goldango here, but I should still attack into it if the last Pokemon is Brute Bonnet. Basically, I decided to go for a pin here. I've intimidated the Iron Hand, so I don't think I'm in any danger here. My Arcanine is max attack EV, so I should KO every Goldango. We're going to find out later that this wasn't actually the case, but right now I believe that we should KO Goldango here. So and my Amoonguss isn't under any pressure. So what I think to myself is, okay, Iron Hands is probably going to Terra here into Terra Grass. Might go for Volt Switch, might go for Close Combat, might go for whatever. I can Flare Blitz and Spore into the Goldango, and what that allows me to do is, if Goldango stays in, it dies, and if it switches into Brute Bonnet, it takes the Flare Blitz, and if it switches into Roaring Moon, it takes the Spore. So, I didn't think that Ashton would bring Dondozo into me initially, so, yeah, that was kind of my thought process here. Amoonguss, even though it took a bunch of damage because Arcanine is kind of covering the Goldango, it's not really in that much, like, it's not really under that much pressure. Yeah, so I thought that it was probably fine. Looks like the desktop audio is still a little bit too loud. Let's actually just mute this. I think the commentary is good, but I'm sure it's confusing to have me talk over it. So Ashton does end up going for his Terra here into Grass, which I think is the right call. He doesn't need it on anything else. And if Iron Hand falls asleep, he's really far behind. But you see here that he actually stays in with Goldango. And the reason for that, as he tells me later, and I'll call it when he actually tells me, his Goldango is remarkably bulky. It has 244 HP and a lot of physical defense. So my Arcanine should KO almost all Goldango that I expected to run into. I didn't expect to play more than like 244-12. And even despite that, I like even it so I could KO even more. And so it ends up, Ashton DM'd me later, it ended up being an exact 50-50 KO or 50-50 roll for Flare Blitz to kill there. However, what's surprising, and I'm actually going to calc this later because Ashton's Jolly Iron Hands and he was intimidated. And his close combat did like 55-60% to my Arcanine, which like I was just really surprised by. I didn't expect that. So now, if Arcanine survives there, I'm in an amazing spot. But because it goes down, it's actually kind of messy here. You can see though that Ashton actually has an interesting combination of Pokemon in the back, Tatsugiri and Roaring Moon. So here I'm thinking like, okay, well I don't want to go into who do I have in the back? Palafin. I can't go into Palafin. Because I go into Palafin? Why did I go into Palafin here? So I think that it's probably Brute Bonnet and Roaring Moon in the back. Why did I go into Palafin? Why did I do this? There was a reason. Why did I go Palafin here? Why did I do this? I think that it's Brute Bonnet, Roaring Moon in the back. Oh, Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So because I've intimidated the Iron Hand here, my thought process is I need to take one more KO and then win with Perish Song. That's kind of that's the process that my brain is following right now. Take one KO, win with Perish Song. I expect Brute Bonnet to come in here, and so I want to go into something that can pressure Brute Bonnet with like close combat rather than Play Rough, which like a Play Rough into Pollen Puff I'm not even sure will KO because Play Rough is so weak from Screamtail. So I go into Palafin because if Ashton goes into Roaring Moon, like basically regardless, I'm threatening close combat. Well, the same is true of Play Rough, but like I think that my Palafin can survive hits and um yeah, I'm trying to take a KO with Palafin so I can go into Screamtail. Yes, okay, I got it. I need to here's the deal. Let's say Palafin KOs, Tatsugiri, and then or let's say Palafin takes a KO here and also gets KO'd in the same on the same way, in the same turn. That actually is still a pretty decent trade for me because my Amoonguss is the slowest Pokemon on the field, and because Iron Hand can't damage Amoonguss. Screamtail plus Amoonguss with my Terra still in play should always beat whatever Ashen has in the back. That's like that was the thought process I followed. Screamtail plus Amoonguss always beats Iron Hand plus X. So as long as Palafin in a worst case scenario trades 1-for-1, I always win the game. That's what I was thinking, so that's why I go into Palafin here. Yeah. However, it's Tatsugiri, which I wasn't expecting. So now I'm like, wait, did he even... He's left either Roaring Moon or Brute Bonnet, or he actually has left both of them and brought Dondozo. And my Amoonguss actually has some damage on it still, so I had to be careful here. So in this position, I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's probably Draco Meteor Amoonguss and Wild Charge the Palafin. He doesn't know what I have in the back. He could expect any Pokemon here. It's probably unusual to think about Screamtail coming apart from Gothitelle. Let me get the Regenerate online. Let me switch to my Screamtail, get the positioning. Ashton's Tatsugiri is Choice Scarf, so I can at least threaten it with Play Rough. Yeah, and this especially because the Iron Hands is intimidated, and I'm really not under that much pressure, and it'd be really kind of gutsy to Wild Charge into the Amoonguss slot, right? Because it could easily have just been Protect and Spore here. So protecting Palafin, this is just a safe reposition. I don't need Palafin to take damage necessarily, especially because if the last Pokemon's Dondozo, then things have changed a little bit, so I need to be careful. I switch into the Draco Meteor, which I'm immune to, and then Wild Charge goes into the Palafin. And now I'm in much better shape. The question here, and I thought about this, was I kind of wanted to go for Terra Water, Jet Punch, and Play Rough into the Tatsugiri, but I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how bulky Ashton Tatsugiri is because some Choice Scarf Pokemon will actually run some bulk on them, some Choice Scarf Tatsugiri. And I just wasn't familiar enough with how much Play Rough does to Tatsugiri to really say confidently what would happen here. So I'm thinking, okay, I can get the Play Rough into Tatsugiri. I don't think it will KO. I don't know how much it will do, but it will do a fair bit. And Palafin is protected, but again, I have this kind of safe Amoonguss switch in the back. So yeah, so basically here the goal is just take one more kill and then Perish Song, and that's it. And if Dondozo comes in, I'd rather have Amoonguss on the field because I'm going to need to stall, and Amoonguss is going to be helpful for that, especially with Disable support, especially with Pollen Puff support. So yeah, that was kind of the thought process there. So you can see Ashton kind of considering what moves to make here, but I have a pretty clear path forward in my opinion. I can switch out Palafin and launch a Play Rough. And actually my Screamtail has some attack EVs, which you may have seen if you saw anybody who posted the Pokepaste. I did post the rental team. Play Rough leaves it with 16 HP. So Jet Punch here probably would have insta-won me the game. Ashton misses a Draco. This is not super impactful in my opinion. Amoonguss, the truth of the matter is that Amoonguss's health is kind of fake at this point. It doesn't really matter here, but yeah. So here I'm thinking, okay, what am I thinking actually? What am I thinking here? Oh, I'm thinking that the last Pokemon is probably Brute Bonnet. Yeah, okay, that's what's going on here. So I think, okay, he didn't bring in Dondozo that turn. If he has Dondozo, I think that was probably the turn to bring it in. Especially because you I could have just KO'd Tatsugiri with a double up, and he knows this. And so if you have Dondozo, you should bring it in that prior turn, or you should switch Tatsugiri into Dondozo, because if Tatsugiri goes down, you will lose to my Perish Song, right? So I think it's probably not Dondozo in the back. I don't think Roaring Moon is very good to me. A lot of my opponents have been using their Brute Bonnet against me. I think the last Pokemon is Brute Bonnet. Remember, the goal is still to take one KO here. If I take one KO, I'm in amazing shape. So what I do is, I'm like, okay, I'm going to double the Tatsugiri with Play Rough and Pollen Puff, because that way, I think I'm going to make the assumption it's not Dondozo in the back. And this way, if he brings in his Screamtail or his Brute Bonnet, I either KO it or I do so much damage to it that it's I can KO it with Jet Punch later or whatever. So, yeah, so I'm thinking here about it, and I decide to double up into the Tatsugiri, especially because the Iron Hands is intimidated. So, I'm really not under that much pressure from it, is the truth. If it attacks, it's fine. Wild Charge isn't even a 5, it's like a 5 KO. So Player of comes first, gets the KO. The other nice thing about this is that I covered for a miss, right? Pollen Puff would still take the KO. Amoonguss would take a Draco Meteor, but again, Amoonguss's health is kind of irrelevant here. Wild Charge comes out into the Screamtail. I still have like 60% left, which is good. And I Pollen Puff. Again, this was targeted into the Tatsugiri to cover for a switch. Ends up doing decent damage to the Iron Hands because of the special defense drop, despite the fact that it's -1, or despite the fact that it's Assault Vest, because Ashton is grass type and lower to special defense. So Roaring Moon comes in here, and now I'm thinking like, okay, I need to make sure I don't blow this, because Roaring Moon is threatening, like, yeah, this is actually a bit trickier than it looks, right? Because I got the last KO, but now he's got +1 speed, +1 speed Roaring Moon in. The problem here is that Acrobatics is threatening Amoonguss, and I have Terra Dark, which is good, but then I'd be weak to close combat, right? So, and if I let Amoonguss go down, I might lose to the Iron Hands. Like, I did some damage to it. It might be okay, but yeah. So I'm a little worried about this Roaring Moon here. And the other issue is that I can't Perish Song freely because Ashton has speed boosting booster energy Roaring Moon. Screamtail is no longer the fastest Pokemon on the field, and that might be fine, right? Because you know, like Roaring Moon isn't going to be able to KO Screamtail, especially without Terra. But the problem is that Ashton's final move, it's Tailwind, Protect, Acrobatics. Last move is Throat Chop. And if Ashton goes for Throat Chop, Perish Song is a sound-based move, and I will be unable to use Perish Song on the turn that I get Throat Chopped, and I think the turn following as well. So it's all of a sudden kind of tricky, where if I go like Protect, Perish Song, then I, you know, like might eat the Throat Chop, and if I go for like Rage Powder, I might eat Acrobatics, and if I go for you know, like Terra Dark, Rage Powder, then I might eat Close Combat Acrobatics and still end up in a position where like Palafin might lose to the Roaring Moon before I do anything. So I decided to make kind of a hybrid play and cover for basically the fact that if I KO Roaring Moon without taking damage on Amoonguss, then Amoonguss actually 1v1s Iron Hands because it doesn't have any recovery. So what I end up doing here is I actually decided to go for a Protect. I figure Ashton probably doesn't want to double into the Screamtail because of the threat of Protect and Terra Dark Spore, which is pretty good. And he also probably doesn't want to protect his Roaring Moon because if I just go for Rage Powder Perish Song, he just wastes the turn and loses the game immediately. So I figure he has to attack with Roaring Moon. And he, yeah, like he has to attack with Roaring Moon, and yeah, like that means that he's actually vulnerable to Play Rough. So I actually added some attack EVs on my Screamtail, which gives me, I KO basically all but the bulkiest Roaring Moon. So I launch a Play Rough here, kind of circumventing expectations, getting around the kind of idea that, you know, I'll be using oh, he actually doubles the Palafin switch in. That was really good. Yeah, basically getting around the idea that he you know, that you know, it's a passive team with you know, like Perish Song end game, and just going for Play Rough, taking the KO. Now I'm up 3-1, and this is guaranteed game at this point because he has no way of breaking Amoonguss. But I want to know how much Wave Crash versus -1 Terra Grass Iron Hands is going to do. So I decided to go for the play that guarantees me the game and the play that will give me information to like go for games going forward. So Ashton probably could have forfeited here, but this gives me the opportunity of seeing like a rough idea of Wave Crash's floor, like if it KOs here or not. So I go for Perish Song. That ensures that Amoonguss always beats Iron Hands. And I go for Wave Crash here. Wave Crash comes out and picks up the KO on the Iron Hands despite it resisting it, thanks to the defense drop, most likely in the Terra. So just gives me an idea of like, okay, like I can expect Wave Crash to do at least 40% in a situation where it's Terra Grass, Terra Water, -1 defense, and I can run some calcs based off of that, right? Based off that learning. So Palafin goes down, but the game is over because I've won the game. So that was pretty good. I'm feeling really good after game one. I feel like, you know, like I got the turn one pretty wrong, right? I had a safe Protect with both Pokemon, and I chose not to take it for some reason. And yeah, like I still won in what felt like pretty convincing fashion. Like I didn't feel like Tatsugiri was that threatening. Screamtail took 2 KOs, which is a big deal. I stare at the camera. Yeah, so I felt pretty good about game one. I'm thinking like, okay, should I make an adjustment here, right? Should I bring different Pokemon? And I think the answer is no, right? I don't really see a reason to bring different Pokemon at all. Palafin was like pretty, I didn't end up doing that much, but I didn't really need to. Close Combat does a ton of damage to a bunch of Ashton's Pokemon. It's worth noting that Terra Water Wave Crash is unbelievably strong, and Ashton doesn't have Intimidate. So if he brings like similar Pokemon again, it's just a really nice secondary option for Goldango, because again, he did just let me KO it for free that game, and I know he had Tatsugiri in the back, so he could have potentially like punished it better. Sorry, he had like a safe switch into Flare Blitz, but I didn't know why he let me do it, but it was because he thought that he would survive because he's not used to any Arcanine as offensive as mine. But now that he basically, all that to say, he's probably not going to let me Flare Blitz and kill his Goldango for free again, right? Like that's probably not going to happen. yeah, and so now we have a bit of a different situation, or like different knowledge. So basically, I'm thinking I need both Arcanine and Palafin because those are my best ways to get around the Goldango. Terra Water Wave Crash will do a ton of damage. I knew from watching the stream that Ashton had 244 HP on his Goldango, so there's a pretty good chance that my Palafin is faster. I actually don't know off the top of my head. I don't think it ever came up in this set. Who's faster? Maybe it did. Either I don't know who's faster, or I knew that my Palafin was faster at this point. I just don't remember. Because it was never actually relevant in the match. But yeah, I decided just to bring the same Pokemon again here. I don't see a reason to deviate. And I don't really feel like Gothitelle or Fluttermane are necessary here. So I decided just to bring my defensive core again. Again, game plan is take 2 KOs and then win the game with Perish. But this time we see an adjustment immediately from Ashton here, which is that he goes for Dondozo in the lead. And so here's the problem. So I want to just Flare Blitz the Goldango and take it out in one hit, but I feel like there's no way that Ashton lets me do this. And what I'm worried about is, if let's say I go for Flare Blitz, I try to get rid of the Goldango, and Ashton just switches in Tatsugiri and goes for Wave Crash. I've lost Arcanine, which was like my best tool at getting rid of the Goldango. So I want to play passive here. And in hindsight, I actually think that switching Palafin into Screamtail, switch Palafin to Screamtail, Terra Water Arcanine, and Flare Blitz Goldango is my best move here by a long shot. But I don't see it because I just didn't expect Dondozo to come at all. So I'm doing some like quick adjustment on the fly immediately here. So yeah. Yeah, I think Terra Water switch to Screamtail was really good because let me explain that actually. So if I Terra Water and switch to Screamtail here and Flare Blitz, then I cover Goldango staying in. Based on the information I had, which I assume that Flare Blitz will kill Goldango. It's never not killed a Goldango before. I've never played a Goldango as bulky as Ashton's, but I don't know that at this point because the only interaction I have with Ashton's Goldango is when I Flare Blitzed it and it died. So I assume that I'm going to kill it with Flare Blitz. So if I Flare Blitz it and it stays in, great. I've taken out the biggest threat. Parasong is almost a guaranteed win at this point. If it switches out into Tatsugiri, then Dondozo is at the field only at +1 attack because I've Terra Watered. Our Arcanine can't go down. Screamtail's so bulky. He's also not likely to go for Wave Crash into Palafin, but I would live it anyway. I can Parasong, take out the Dondozo, probably with a Mungus in the back and Intimidate on Dondozo. Probably not even lose him on. Maybe lose one, but my Pokemon are so bulky and I have Recovery and Disable and stuff. Probably take like lose no Pokemon. Yeah. And yeah, it just would put me in such a good spot. So I missed the play here. So especially because this isn't a situation I'm used to. I don't think I've ever had anyone lead this against me. So I figured, let me just slow down the pace. Like, let me scout for a Terra. Let me like scout for what move. Let me see if Goldango wants to switch out here. Like, there's no need to blow my Terra unnecessarily, right? I would like to conserve it if possible. It's, I'd rather be Fire type versus Iron Hands than Water type. But Ashton just kind of makes a gutsy play here and goes for Shadow Ball in front of the Arcanine and goes for Sub. Ashton's able to make this kind of play because he knows something that I don't, which is that his Goldango is super bulky. So he figures he probably can survive. He figures I just high rolled him. So here he's thinking about what to do. He switches into I switch to Palafin out because I'm like, okay, I got to deal with this Dondozo. It's behind a Sub. I'm going to have to perish it. I can't beat it with any other way. Let me get Screamtail in. So I go Screamtail now. Basically, this is the same as last turn, except that in this scenario, I guess this is kind of the same thing as last turn, except in this scenario, Dondozo is behind a Sub, so switching it out makes more sense. But Ashton actually makes a really smart play here. If he goes into Tatsugiri, I probably just win, frankly, but he goes into his other Pokemon. So he kind of finds the play in between the play that I wanted to make, which was switch into Iron Hands and take some damage. I'm going to make another mistake here in a second, but we're going to watch. I do Terra Water here. I know that Arcanine cannot go down, or else I will lose to Dondozo. So I Terra Water Arcanine, feeling very glad that I switched to Terra Water. I was Terra Normal for a while. That would not have helped me, but Terra Water would. Flare Blitz does a lot of damage here, as you can see, to the Iron Hands. And Wave Crash goes out into Arcanine. It is -1 attack, so it's not, and it's resisted, so it won't do that much, but it doesn't do anything. Okay, cool. Now let's talk about the next mistake that I make. So here, let's finish the turn. Here's the Pokemon with the health bars. I should be going for Play Rough and Flare Blitz into the Iron Hands, without a doubt. I'm a little worried about, like, I don't know, Tatsugiri switching in. I really don't want to lose Arcanine until Goldango goes down, but I should be going for Play Rough and Flare Blitz into Iron Hands. If Iron Hands fake outs into either slot, it gets put down super low. It'll be in range of Palafin later. I really need to take KOs because limiting Ashton's ability to switch and limiting his ability to do damage is really important because I need Tatsugiri to hit the field so Dondozo can't switch out so I can kill it with Parasong. That's kind of the process that has to happen. So I need to be focused on taking KOs right now, but I'm worried about the fake out pressure, especially because in game one, when I kind of thought Ashton wouldn't use his fake out, oh, there's my phone. When I thought Ashton would not use his fake out pressure, he actually goes for fake out turn one. So now I'm thinking, I don't want a repeat of game one. I could just protect with both. I could make a defensive play. I could just try and catch him off guard. So yeah, so basically, I'm thinking like, but I really should have realized that Play Rough and Flare Blitz would KO here because I was just worried about Arcanine taking too much damage, but I didn't need to be worried about that in all honesty. Like it was actually, I was fine and I just missed it. So here I'm going to make a mistake. So what I end up doing is I'm thinking, okay, like I would like to kind of, I need to get, I should make such a good play this turn. I need to get Arcanine out because I want to intimidate cycle later, and I can't let it go down or else I'll lose to Goldango. I think I was probably just responding. I think I locked in too quickly. Yeah, I locked in like immediately here. I think I just moved too quickly without thinking, responding to the pressure of the Iron Hand without thinking that I could double up and KO it. Here's the problem with this turn. So what's going to happen is Arcanine is going to go into Amoonguss as I Parasong. Which is like good, but mostly bad. It's actually really bad because Ashton doesn't go for fake out here. He actually goes for Volt Switch. So even though I get the Parasong off, I'm not trapping anything. So there's no, it's just like a timer on the Dondozo, and Ashton goes for Volt Switch. And here's why this is such a problem for me and why Volt Switch is such a good move on Iron Hands in this kind of scenario is that Ashton is able to bring in his Goldango. His Specs Goldango with Terra still on the field, still available. And all of a sudden, I'm under an enormous amount of pressure. So Wave Crash comes out into the Scream Tail, actually. Another good play, getting some chip down since Arcanine wasn't going to take that much anyway. Actually, just more than I would have expected, given that it's intimidated and Scream Tail's so bulky. But yeah, Dondozo is really strong. Yeah. And so here, now both my Pokemon are under Parasong. Ashton's Dondozo is... I don't have a way to switch into this... How much health does my Palafin have? Is it still healthy? This is really tricky. So here, basically, like... I don't know if this, I can't switch Arcanine into Goldango, and Arcanine is my Goldango answer, so I needed to make sure that it was on the field when Goldango hit the field, so I didn't just like have to sacrifice a Pokemon, because again, keeping the Pokemon advantage is really important for me. So now I'm really out of position, and to make matters worse, I've burnt my Terra, so I can't even go for Terra Steel with my Scream Tail to stop the, like, to resist the Make It Rains, and you know, maybe Pollen Puff back up and go from there. So it's a really awkward position for me, in all honesty. I can't really do anything here, right? Like I just have to start, I have to find a way to mitigate the damage. So my thought process is basically, okay, Goldango's gonna lock in to Make It Rain, and it has to pretty much. And if it doesn't, it's better for me anyway. So what I can do here is I can protect Scream Tail, launch a Spore into Dondozo because it's on a counter. Ashton has to switch it out at some point, and it's not really doing anything right now. Like it's really not doing anything. So, protect Scream Tail, Spore Dondozo, and use the fact that it's choice specs like to lower its special attack by one stage. So my other Pokemon whose health is more valuable, I can, you know, kind of play around with from there. So yeah, Ashton's gonna go into Tatsugiri here for his Dondozo. And he's going to Make It Rain. He's going to take a second to lock in, but he goes for Make It Rain. He should always Make It Rain here. He thinks about going for Terra Steel, I think, at some point. But yeah, he's considering whether or not he wants to Terra Steel, I think, to get more damage down at the expense of like saving his Terra for later. He's thinking about attacking, but there's no real point, so he's going to back out. Because the thing is, Ashton isn't under any pressure to switch immediately. He's seen all four of my Pokemon, so he knows that I can't trap his Dondozo in, so he's not really under pressure in that regard. But he also doesn't have anything to do with Dondozo, so he just chooses to switch it out immediately. So Dondozo switches here. It goes into Tatsugiri. Now, this is also a good switch from Ashton because I launched a Spore into this slot, but Sporing Tatsugiri is a lot less valuable for me than Sporing, like, Iron Hands, right? So I protect Scream Tail, like I said, to make sure that Goldango loses a stage of special attack. Make It Rain comes out. There's a lot to Amoonguss. I'll die to another one, which is okay. Yeah, the important thing is I didn't lose a Pokemon because Amoonguss can like recover his HP. So I Spore into the Tatsugiri. So, I mean, given how bad the position was, it's getting better, but I still don't have a way around this Goldango, right? So here I'm like, okay, well, I can't let Amoonguss go down. Now is the time to bring in Palafin. So Make It Rain, Ashton is forced to keep using Make It Rain. Both my Pokemon on the back resist, which is good, but yeah, the issue is you're going to see I'm taking too much damage in the process here. So he's going to go for, I don't think he Terras this turn, as I recall. Yeah. And it's one other thing that's really smart of Ashton to do here is he switches back into his Iron Hands. Yeah, it is his Iron Hands, right? He's thinking about it. Basically, it would be like Ashton keeps up as, even though Tatsugiri has fallen asleep, he doesn't need Tatsugiri to attack. He just needs it to enable Dondozo. And so if he just like stayed on the field here, it would have made my life so much easier. But instead, he goes into his he goes into his Iron Hand. So I bring in Palafin here. Palafin's still at full HP as far as I recall. And so it resists steel, and I've now got -1 on the Goldango, so it's getting better. I would say it's getting better for me, but it's still kind of difficult. Iron Hands comes in here. I go for Protect with Amoonguss, and I take a Mega Rain. But the thing is, Palafin's actually got pretty good bulk once it transforms, or at least like not bad bulk at all once it transforms. Pretty high HP as well. So taking the Mega Rain here is good. It doesn't do very much damage at all. So I feel like I've kind of maneuvered a little bit out of the position that I was in. I've got the sleep on the Tatsugiri. I'm forced to switch Amoonguss out here because of the Perish counter, but it's fine. The question is, what do I do with Palafin? I think like, okay, like if I eat the Fake Out, it's actually not that bad for me. It actually might be better for me if I eat the Fake Out. So I don't really need to protect here. Instead, what I can do is I can actually Wave Crash the Iron Hands, and because I saw how much Terra Grass Iron Hands at -1 took from the Terra Water Wave Crash in game 1, I figured that based on the amount of HP that Iron Hands has left, I will probably KO here. So I switch Amoonguss into Arcanine here, which I think is the right move, and at the same time the wrong move. Because Arcanine comes in here, and this turn goes well for me. Like, this is a good short-term turn for me. Like, Iron Hands doesn't Fake Out. I go for Wave Crash. I am faster than the Goldango, as we find out here. I forgot about that. I pick up the KO on the Iron Hands, which is really good. Like, this is great. Like, I needed Iron Hands gone. This is, like, super good. And I take a Make It Rain, which is not bad by any means. But here's where the problem is. And I actually feel like I maybe should have sacked. No, it was just too tricky. I don't know. I don't really know what I was supposed to do here. Like, maybe I should have sacked Amoonguss and just gone for like a hard read there, like saying, okay, you're not going to Fake Out Palafin. But if they Fake Out and yeah, it could still be. Yeah, it doesn't. No, I think I made the right play. It just like I got the turn right, and I still am in a really bad position because now Dondozo comes in, and Dondozo coming in now when Arcanine is on the field and super low HP means that at this point I was like, it would be very difficult to win this game because Screamtail's used its booster energy. That's the first thing. Arcanine is on the field and low HP. That's the second thing. All my Pokemon are damaged. Screamtail is damaged, and I don't really have a way of getting Perish Song on the Dondozo, nor do I have a way of lowering its attack. And even if I get past the Dondozo, I still have to beat Goldango. So I'm like, it's looking kind of doomed. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not giving up. You know, I'm still in this. I'm still gonna try my best. So here I'm like, well, I gotta get Arcanine out, right? Like that's the first thing that comes to mind. I have to switch Arcanine out here because I need the Intimidate, and I probably need the I'm realistically gonna need the like it to beat the Goldango later, so I can't let Arcanine go down here. So what I do is I think, yeah, I'm gonna ponder for a while, ponder my orb. I have to switch Arcanine out, and the Pokemon that I have to switch it into is Amoonguss here. And the reason is that Amoonguss, again, its HP is more expendable. It's my bulkiest Pokemon, and I need Screamtail to get Perish Song off, or I will never beat Dondozo. So Ashton makes the correct play here. He switches Goldango into Tatsugiri, giving himself the boost finally after this whole kind of game of using Dondozo and Tatsugiri independently. Tatsugiri's asleep, but it doesn't help me. It still jumps into the mouth. Bop. Dondozo Omni Boost. We're just going to fast forward through this. Yeah. I predict Palafin here because, again, I need to keep my Pokemon alive. I could have sacked Palafin here. Oh, that might have been better. Should I have sacked Palafin here? If I sack Palafin, then Amoonguss takes some damage. I can go into Arcanine. I can, like, side Pollen Puff, switch to Screamtail. Perish. No, I don't think that works either. I don't know. I don't think I can sack Palafin here. I take the Earthquake. I actually think I make like kind of a decent play here. I take the Earthquake. Yeah. Yeah, just a lot of damage to Amoonguss. So here I'm thinking like, okay, like, yeah, it's so difficult. I need to get Screamtail on the field. I need to get Perish Up somehow, but it's not happening. I realize I probably have to sack Arcanine here because I need to get an Intimidate on it. Otherwise, Earthquake like literally will KO my Pokemon. So I go into Palafin, or switch Palafin into Arcanine here. No, I double out. Because, yeah, okay, I need to... My hope is that Wave Crash will kill Goldango. I don't know how bulky it is. I know that I'm faster. I don't know my calc super well. I figure there's a chance I can KO. So I double out with both my Pokemon. This gives me Regenerator health back on Amoonguss. And it also gives me the Intimidate on the Dondozo, and I decide to sack Arcanine. It's the Earthquake. So that's what happens here. Earthquake comes out. It's going to do a ton of damage to Screamtail, but it's not enough that it does like 30%. So Screamtail will take another Earthquake here, but I don't think I realized that at the time because I just, like, I don't know, the HP more, I was moved too quickly or something. So, yeah. I'm now kind of in the position I need to be, which is Screamtail on the field next to Amoonguss. Yeah. And I have access to Disable, which I should consider here. So I think that I might be in range of another Earthquake, and I also think that I'm slower than Dondozo because I've lost my booster energy. So here I'm like, it's doomed. Like I have to go over Paris. I have to go over. I have to pray that Ashley goes for Earthquake, number one. I have to pray that Screamtail lives Earthquake, and then I have to get the Paris song off. That was my thought process, right? Like if Ashton's faster, like I'd probably lose regardless. And I assume he's faster, so there's no reason not to go for Earthquake here. Turns out his Dondozo is really tanky, which I didn't know. I had no idea that it was this tanky on the Dondozo. So actually, Screamtail ends up being faster, even though booster energy was already used. So if I knew that, I could have rage powdered, I could have disabled, there was a lot of things I could have done. But instead I don't realize that. So I go for Parasong and I try to side Pollen Puff. I get it on the, like I finally afflict Dondozo with the song, but it doesn't matter, right? Like I've lost Screamtail, and now there's no way for my low HP Palafin to take the Earthquakes, which means that this game is as good as over. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I was supposed to assume that my Screamtail was faster than Dondozo. In fact, my Screamtail is like not especially fast. It's not like anywhere close to the max of its speed bracket, but yeah, I don't know. Like I don't think that it was the wrong play, and maybe I should have maybe rage powdered regardless, because Pollen Puff might have been a little greedy. But the thing is, if Ashton just Earthquakes there, I don't see how I can win. I was trying, because I wasn't just thinking about being the Dondozo. I also have to deal with the Goldango and the Tatsugiri at the end, and I just like I just couldn't find a way through. Like that's the truth of it, plain and simple. So I protect both Pokemon here, but this is a formality. Like I basically need Ashton to go for an Earthquake, Palafin to survive, Wave Crash back up, Pollen Puff heal Palafin, protect Dondozo faints. Goldango comes in, dies to Wave Crash, 3-turn sleep on Tatsugiri, close combat into Jet Punch KOs. Like that was probably the win condition that I needed. And Ashton just goes for Wave Crash, predicting that. And the truth of the matter is that like Rage Powder didn't matter there, because like as long as I don't get Pollen Puff HP back on Palafin, I will always die to Wave Crash if I KO Goldango. I think based on where I was at, or I'm pretty sure I would. So I needed to go for Pollen Puff there because I took too much damage earlier. So here, I decided to Spore, because I think like, okay, well, like maybe if there's a team sheet error, like what if he doesn't have Chesterberry and he's supposed to have Chesterberry, then I'd win that way. That's what I was thinking. And also because I thought maybe the chat didn't know about Chesterberry, so I figure I should tell them why I wasn't sporing. So I Spore, I'm like, does it have Chesterberry? Like it says it should, and then it has Chesterberry. So then I lose. Yep, and Parasong falls to 0. So we'll let this game play out. But yeah, this game is over, as you can see. So basically what happened here was that Ashton got, like, it was really hard for me to position Arcanine correctly because of the pressure that Dondozo applied, and because like honestly because of the pressure that Goldango applied. Like Ashton got Goldango on the field when I had Screamtail Amoonguss, and so I wasn't able to pressure anything with it. And so I like couldn't really I couldn't switch into it, and it just made like being forced to bring Arcanine in to deal with the Goldango, but then not be able to use Arcanine to intimidate the Dondozo just made things like really difficult for me. And so I'm thinking like, okay, in all honesty, Palafin wasn't very good there, right? Like it KO'd the Iron Hands. Yes, that was kind of heat. It KO'd the Iron Hands, but other than that, like it didn't touch the Goldango, it didn't do anything to Tatsugiri, and it didn't do anything to Dondozo. And Dondozo and Tatsugiri were a real problem for me. But the thing is that Ashton in that game led with Dondozo and Iron Hands? No, Dondozo Goldango. So I'm thinking, okay, like he just won the game. He adapted well. If he brings the same Pokemon again, maybe this is the time to play my ace, which is the Gothitelle lead. So I haven't been leading Gothitelle because I didn't think, like, Ashton has Volt Switch, and he has, you know, like, Ghost type Goldango. It wouldn't have done very well into Iron Hands Goldango, which is what I expected for the first game, which is what Ashton brought. But against Goldango Dondozo, it's much better because you can go for Fake Out into Dondozo and Flare Blitz into the Goldango, and it becomes much more difficult for Ashton to actually get his Dondozo set up. Yeah, so I was thinking, okay, I'll go Gothitelle Arcanine. I'm going to leave Palafin behind, and I'll go with Amoonguss and Screamtail. And the idea basically is I need to KO Goldango with Arcanine. That has to happen. So if Arcanine goes down, I lose. And I need to basically use Parasong to deal with Dondozo first, and then I can use Screamtail to deal with Tatsugiri, and once I deal with those two independently, I can win with yeah, I can just win with Parasong. So yeah, so I feel like pretty good about my adjustment here. In all honesty, like I feel like it's like the right call. I don't feel like I need Palafin in this matchup because of how Ashton's playing. He's not going to bring, I don't think he's going to bring Roaring Moon after what happened with Screamtail game 1. And like he could bring Brute Bonnet, but the fact of the matter is that all 4 of his Pokemon are kind of crucial there. So I'm thinking like, okay, it might not be Brute Bonnet, which means Gothitelle's a bit safer because like Palafin can pressure Brute Bonnet with close combat, but Gothitelle can't pressure it with anything. So I thought like, okay, like, yeah, I'll bring Gothitelle. But Ashton goes back to his lead from game 1, which is, no, Ashen leads with another new lead, which is Tatsugiri and Iron Hands. Right. And the problem is that Ashton's Iron Hands is faster than mine. So, yeah. So here I'm thinking like, okay, I need to get Arcanine off the field, right? Like that's the first thing, is because we need to be really careful with how Arcanine hits the field, because I do need it to intimidate the Dondozo. So I switch Arcanine into Screamtail here because Parasong is like good, and if he, what do I do here? What do I do with Gothitelle? Gothitelle leads to Fake Out here. So Screamtail gets the speed boost, which is good. I can now disable the Tatsugiri if I want to stop yeah, things from happening. I can go for Play Rough. He goes for Fake Out into Gothitelle. Okay, I went for Psychic. I went for Psychic into this. Okay, here's what I did. I went for Psychic into the Tatsugiri. Sorry, I forgot. I go for Psychic into Tatsugiri because I know that if Ashton chooses to, if Ashton does pretty much anything that is not Fake Out into Gothitelle, if he Fake Outs Arcanine, or if he just attacks, it puts me in pretty decent shape, because if the, let's say he Wild Charges, right? Now Tatsugiri is in range of Psychic and can't protect and can't switch out, so I can Play Rough the Tatsugiri with my Screamtail, because we saw that just needs a little bit of chip to get rid of it from game one. So if Tatsugiri takes some damage here, then I can KO with Play Rough. Dondozo is now no longer a threat and is actually more of a liability, and so that would be amazing for me, right? That would be his basically best answers. I would basically remove 2 of his best answers to Arcanine with 1 move, so I thought it was worth going for. And if he Volt Switches here, he can go into Goldango, which would be bad, of course, but with Terra Steel available, I can go for like disable Terra Steel and protect, eat the Make It Rain, and then still take out Tatsugiri with Play Rough and Psychic the next, or Play Rough and actually Heal Pulse the next turn and go back to full HP. Take out Tatsugiri, same deal, right? So basically any move that Ashton makes, and if he Volt Switches into Dondozo, I just Parasong and go to Amoonguss. Yeah, so basically regardless of which move Ashton makes here, I feel like I end up in a pretty decent position in all honesty, so I feel pretty good about kind of that play, but Ashton correctly identifies that he can Fake Out the Gothitelle, he doesn't need to worry about anything else. Yeah, and yeah, puts me in a bit of a messy situation. So here I'm thinking, okay, like, I don't really want to Parasong because like Tatsugiri I can KO with other means, and the Iron Hands is just gonna Volt Switch out anyway. So I'm like, I may as well go for damage, right? Like I may as well go for Play Rough and Psychic here into the Tatsugiri. Because if I KO Tatsugiri, if he's baited by the fact that Goldango can switch in, like I have 1 fewer resistance this game compared to last when it comes to Make It Rain. So I think like, yeah, I may as well go for Psychic, right? So Muddy Water comes out, hits both, does a fair bit of damage to both my Pokemon. This damage is actually adding up pretty quickly. Gothitell's accuracy drops, eats the Citrus Berry, which is good that I'm still alive, but I am losing health pretty rapidly. And he makes another great play here of going for Volt Switch. We're seeing the value of this speedy Iron Hands. It outspeeds my Pokemon. I've lost half my health on Screamtail, the Pokemon that I would consider as like kind of weak, which is not good. And Ashton chooses to rip the Band-Aid here. So he goes into Dondozo here. And this is like both good and bad, right? Like it's pretty scary because Dondozo is like the most threatening Pokemon on the team for me, but at the same time, like I don't know, getting rid of this gives me the chance to, I'm always Parasonging here, right? Like I always Parasong here, and so it's like not so bad at the end of the day because I'm basically like still in a decent position. So Psychic comes out, I aimed it at Tatsugiri, it doesn't work, but I forced Dondozo onto the field early, which is good. So here I think that Screamtail will live in Earthquake, and so if that happens, I'm in an amazing spot because I can go for, what's the order here? I forget. What I do here basically is I can go Parasong and switch to Amoonguss because that gets Gothitelle off the field. It resets Fake Out, which is incredibly valuable at stalling Dondozo turns. And it also like, yeah, like because I know I'm faster than Dondozo because I still have booster energy and because I was faster last game. And Amoonguss is so bulky and again can recover its HP by switching, so it's not that big a deal to let it take an Earthquake. So Amoonguss switches in here. I go for Parasong and I'm like, great. If Ashton goes for Earthquake, I believe Screamtail will survive, which is big. And then I'm in great shape. I can go for Disable Rage Powder. I can go for Protect. I can do like so many things here. I can sack Gothitelle. I'm in really good shape if I survive here, which I think I will. But Screamtail gets critical hit, and that means that it faints. And actually, looking at the damage, I'm pretty sure my Screamtail is more physically bulky than my Amoonguss, and Amoonguss took about as much health as Screamtail had left, so I'm pretty sure I would survive there. All of a sudden, this has changed dramatically. This has changed very dramatically because now I don't have as good a way of stalling the turns until like, yeah, basically until everything runs out. So I go into Gothitelle here. I'm forced into Gothitelle, I should say. Again, because Ashton is Chesto Berry, I cannot Spore. I can't go for like Fake Out Spore or anything. So this is actually kind of tricky. So I'm gonna use this opportunity to get Arcanine in and get an Intimidate down and start lowering the damage output. yeah, so I go Amoonguss into Arcanine because I can cover for the switch safely with the fake out. And here's the problem, basically. If I'd had one more turn here, even if this position were the same and Screamtail had gone down and Amoonguss had switched in, it would have been fine if it had happened like just one turn later, because then the perish count would have been such that Dondozo was hitting 1 in this position. I could just protect with both and it would be fine. But that's not the scenario that we're in. The scenario that we're in is that now there's 2 turns left of Parasong, and here's where I start to get really dizzy. Because I think to myself, okay, if I don't Terra Water Arcanine, let me back up. This is a really complex situation. It's probably a lot more complex than it looks. This turn is like one of the only turns in the tournament where I ran out of time figuring out what to do. Because basically here's the position. If Arcanine needs a Wave Crash or even a super effective Earthquake, I'm probably doomed, right? Like, because again, I need Arcanine to beat Goldango. And if Arcanine goes down, like, it's just, I literally can't beat Goldango. I have Amoonguss and Gothitelle, so I can't beat Goldango if Arcanine goes down. So I'm like, okay, Arcanine cannot go down, but there's still 2 turns left of Perish, and of course, what I could do here is, like, I could protect Arcanine, switch to Amoonguss, protect Amoonguss, switch to Gothitelle, right? And that gets me out of the position where Arcanine doesn't take any damage, but then Goldango hits the field, and something has to make it rain when paired with its Tatsugiri. And I don't think that I can win from there, in all honesty. In fact, I'm pretty sure that that's a loss too. So I can't find a way to maneuver this. And so I could Terra Water my Arcanine to help it survive, right? But the problem is that by Terra Watering my Arcanine, I will probably lose to the Iron Hands because it has Wild Charge. So I really don't want to Terra Water my Arcanine, especially because I might want the Intimidate to beat the Iron Hands later. So I just get really stuck here. I'm not really sure what to do. I still have to deal with this +1 Dondozo and the Tatsugiri, and then I have to deal with Goldango and Iron Hand. So I don't really know what to do. I'm like trying to find a way like of how I can like switch out Amoonguss and then switch Arcanine to Amoonguss, protect, and then Rage Powder and switch Arcanine back in, but like, or like Pollen Puff and switch Arcanine back in, but then like what if Earthquake does too much damage and then it's like basically the same as if I Terra Watered. So there might have been a more graceful way through this, in all honesty. Like, I think maybe Arcanine to Amoonguss, Rage Powder into Gothitelle into Arcanine. No, that also doesn't work. Yeah, like I don't know what I was supposed to do here, in all honesty. I'll tell you what I do. I think maybe I made the right move by accident, but I definitely thought it was the wrong move at the time. So here, I decided to switch Gothitelle out because I need to keep, well, I don't remember why I switched Gothitelle. Oh, because I wanted to reset the fake out pressure. Because again, Amoonguss can kind of come in and out for free in terms of Amoonguss's pool of health. So yeah. And I guess I also wanted to pressure the I don't know. I ran out of time. I don't know. Like it was like there was some plan that I was making where Gothitelle was switching to Amoonguss, but I didn't have time to complete it. So I just did the move that like I literally hadn't figured something out before the timer was like out. So I just had to do something. And I did the move that like I knew wouldn't lose me the game, which is protect and switch, because Amoonguss wasn't gonna die and Arcanine wasn't gonna die. And here I'm like, great. Well, again, if I can switch into Gothitelle and side Pollen Puff, which is pretty good. But yeah, I basically here I realized like, okay, I see a way forward. I think it's this turn that I figure it out, which is like I can force Goldango onto the field and give me a crack at it with Arcanine if I can kill Tatsugiri. And the way that I kill Tatsugiri is by trapping it on the field with Gothitelle and not allowing it to switch. So I need Arcanine to stay alive for this plan, and I also need, I need Arcanine to stay alive for this plan. I need Gothitelle in the field. So I switch Amoonguss into Gothitelle to get Gothitelle in the field. Gives me fake out pressure, which if Ashton goes into Goldango, then I can fake out Tatsugiri, Flare Blitz the Goldango, and that covers for that. So the positioning isn't like so bad, but it's really awkward, and I'm forced to Terra Water my Arcanine. There's nothing Arcanine can do here, so I go for the double protect here because it could save me some health, right? Like which could end up being pretty impactful later. This is still +1 Earthquake, so I'd rather have not taken it. You can see it does like a quarter of Arcanine's health. Dondozo finally goes down, but now I'm definitely in the backseat, right? Ashton's Pokemon are healthier. He also has so much more offense. I have Amoonguss and Gothitelle left, which would be great if I had Screamtail, but I don't have Screamtail. I have Arcanine. So like these two are gonna have to do damage. Like they have to win. I have to win the game with damage. There's no more Perish Song out because I let Screamtail go down to the crit. So if Ashton goes Goldango here, I'm thrilled, but he ends up going Iron Hands, which is the correct move. And this is really tricky because Ashton can go for fake out into my Arcanine and Muddy Water, and assuming Tatsugiri lives fake out, which I'm not sure. My Gothitelle 0 attack calm non-stab, so I think it will live, and Tatsugiri's, I don't know. I don't, regardless of whether it would kill or not, I didn't know at the moment. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if fake out doesn't kill Tatsugiri here. So I see basically one play that I can make here, and it's very risky. And it's, even though Iron Hands has the faster fake out, if I go for fake out into Iron Hands and extreme speed into the Tatsugiri, Goldango's forced in, and that gives me a crack at it. And if I can get Goldango on the field, I can Flare Blitz it, and if I Flare Blitz it, I can kill it. So I'm really debating if there's anything else, but at a point I'm like, there's nothing else for me to do. This is the only play that I can see that can win me the game from this spot. Like, I'm just so far behind. I need to get Tatsugiri off the field. Like, yeah, this is super unsafe because if he fake outs the Arcanine and I make this play, I immediately lose. But I fake out and I extreme speed here, which lets me pick up Tatsugiri and stops the Iron Hand from attacking for one turn, which is very impactful because that one turn is the turn that I need Arcanine to stay alive for, because now Goldango hits the field. And you can kind of see here Ashen is talking and he says, "This is a roll. My Goldango's super bulky. I was shocked you killed me game one." And I'm like, well, here goes nothing. Like, I don't have a better move here. Knowing it's bulky doesn't change anything for me. Like, there's nothing I can do, right? I have to Flare Blitz the Goldango. And if it kills, it kills. And if it doesn't, I lose. And you know, I don't know the role. I've never not killed a Goldango before, but Ashton seems very confident in how bulky his Goldango is. And I haven't done any chip damage to it yet. So it was kind of a here goes nothing moment for me. You know, you can see if he's considering Terastallizing or not. He shouldn't Terastallize here. There's no reason to do it. He can just wait for Amoonguss to come back in and then do it later. It actually looked to me like hang on. I thought he terastallized, but it doesn't go through. Why not? Wait, what? Did I miss something? Hang on. He clicks terastallize. Oh, he unclicked it. I missed that. Okay, he unclicks it. Yeah. So, okay, yeah, he thinks about what to do. Gothitelle goes out into Amoonguss here because I see the path forward, which is that Arcanine is to kill Goldango, and then I still defeat this Iron Hand somehow. And to do that, I want fake out pressure because if I don't kill the Goldango, I lose regardless. So if I kill Goldango, I may as well reset my fake out pressure. So Flare Blitz comes out, I pick up the one hit KO, do a little pop off, do a little fist bump. Normally don't like being super emotive, but I knowing that it was a roll there, I was very stressed. So this game was literally, that came down to a 50-50. If I don't kill there, it was a true 50-50 roll. If I don't kill there, that's immediately over. I never killed a Goldango. Ever. Yeah, unless it was like low HP and burn, so like I don't know, like 50-50 and then 10% of the 50% I get the, you know, maybe I could have won with a burn as well. Like if with a burn I might have been able to win as well. Yeah, but like effectively a 50-50 there. And because I brought Gothitelle back in here, I'm able to go for fake out and pollen puff. And now it's like I basically am taking advantage of the fact that even though Amoonguss is not an offensive Pokemon by any means, its typing is really good here, and because Ashen is basically forced to Terra Grass in order to survive the to not fall asleep to Spore, I can then hit it for super effective damage, Pollen Puff. So here I could have gone for like Fake Out and like Spore, but like I thought it was way more valuable to keep Gothitelle alive. In all honesty, this forces Ashen to Terra. There's no punish on his part. He can go for Terra and Wild Charge Gothitelle, but if he doesn't Terra, he loses to Spore, and if he does Terra, I can now beat him with Pollen Puff. So this was kind of it's not that I thought he would let me, like he would not. I thought he was going to Terra Grass here, but I still thought that was in my best interest because it forces him to, right? It says, okay, whether you Terra Grass or not, you're in a bad position regardless. So he goes for Wild Charge into Gothitelle. That's the right play. He needs a critical hit to one-shot it and then hope he wins the 1v1 versus Amoonguss, which like maybe with like 2 or 3 crits he could do. Like neither of us are probably super aware of the rolls because we're in kind of a messy situation, but he just goes for the Wild Charge into Gothitelle. I consider side Pollen Puffing, but like I don't want to lose to a crit, so Wild Charge comes out. I survive it, which I thought I would survive, but yeah, like I figured better safe than sorry. No need to go for side Pollen Puff here. Psychic comes out. It's gonna do like a decent chunk, like yeah, like actually a good chunk of damage because of the defense drop from close combat earlier when he KO'd Arcanine. Wild Charge or Pollen Puff comes out, does way more than I expected, and with that, I think Ashen just forfeits because yeah, like the game is over. So basically all that to say, I think Ashen played super well here. He was oh wow, I'm way down. Let me sit up. He was the only person in Top Cut to take a game off of me. Other people took games off of me throughout the course of the first day, but in the second day, I think I was playing a bit better. I think that overall, I just felt like I was doing better. And my play was better. My game plans were better. And so, yeah, Ashton was the only person to take a game off me in Top Cut, and it came down to what was like almost exactly a 50-50. I guess 50-50 minus odds of crit, minus odds of like low HP burn, which like maybe I still win potentially. Like it gets a lot messier, but like maybe. All that to say, it was really, really close. It was really down to the wire, and I had to get a little lucky to win on top of that. And I think game 2, I had some plays that I missed that I just didn't think about, but yeah. So it was a really good finals. It's of the finals I've played against Ashton, I think that one was my favorite. I think that was the most back and forth, and there was a point in game 3 after Screamtail got crit where I was like, I should definitely lose this, especially after the turn where I ran out of time with Arcanine, where I definitely thought I was going to lose. So yeah, it was a really, really stressful, tense set. I have a lot of respect for Ashton as a player. I think he played very, very, very well against a team that I don't think was like super easy for him to deal with, in all honesty. Like Dondozo and Tatsugiri, I considered a positive matchup going into the event, and he made it like really. He was the only player who even tried to use Dondozo Tatsugiri against me. I think everybody else just realized it wouldn't work. and he made it work for him. I mean, I didn't play that many either, which is worth noting. But yeah, so yeah, I thought it was a really good set. I'm really happy to have won, and I'm looking forward to making a full video breakdown on the main channel. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and that's it from me. Bye bye. Subscribe.